Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fourth presentation of the National Coin Week 2023. Every day this week, we have had a new presentation to help celebrate the National Coin Week, which has been going on. This is the 100th presentation of National Coin Week since 1923. So I hope you've enjoyed the previous presentations, and we have one tomorrow, so make sure you make it for that one as well. During this presentation, you may come up with some questions. For basic housekeeping, you will be muted, but you can ask your questions in the Q&A section, and we will answer them at the end of Dr. Fuller's talk. And with that, I will introduce Dr. Harcourt Fuller. He's a history professor, numismatic scholar, and a producer of film and music. He's an associate professor of African and the African Diaspora history at Georgia State University in Atlanta. He holds a Ph.D. in international history and an MSc in history of international relations from the London School of Economics and a BA and MA from the City College of New York. He's been awarded a Fulbright Global Scholar Award, Whiting Public Engagement Fellowship, and an Eric P. Newman Numismatic Education Society grant. Dr. Fuller has been a coin and currency collector since childhood. He is a member of the ANS, and the International Banknote Society. He is also the co-editor of Money in Africa and the creator of the traveling museum exhibition, Black Money Exhibit, World Currencies featuring African and African diasporic history and cultures. He was appointed to the CCAC in 2021, based on the recommendation of the Speaker of the House of Representatives. The CCAC is the Citizens Coinage Advisory Committee, which advises the U.S. Mint on potential new designs for our coinage. So it's a very important and exciting position, and he'll be talking about some tonight. As I said at the start, if you have questions for Dr. Fuller, please post them on the Q&A, and we will get to them at the end of the talk. And with that, I think we need to start. Here you go. Here is Dr. Harcourt Fuller.
Thank you so much, Doug. I hope everyone can see me and hear me. Let me just get my slides up. It's such an honor for me to be here today, to be a part of the ANA's Coin Week. I really like interacting with the public, and I have a lot of history with the ANA and also with Doug Mudd, such a wonderful person, and I'll have a few words to say about Doug as well. I want to thank the ANA staff for giving me this opportunity to speak about the Citizens Coinage Advisory Committee. Before I actually go into my slide presentation, I would like to express an important disclaimer that this presentation reflects my views and not necessarily the views of the Citizens Coinage Advisory Committee or the United States Mint. I want to start by saying a few words about my good friend, Doug Mudd, because I think it's safe to say, and I've told so many people that had it not been for Doug Mudd, I would not have been who I am today with respect to my profession as a history professor, as well as, quite frankly, my journey into numismatics. And Doug has been important to my career in so many ways. I'll talk a bit about this quote that you see on the screen in a minute. But you know, as a young man, young immigrant in the Bronx, New York, I got so interested in coins and banknotes, and you know, I would frequently email Doug asking about coins, banknotes, coin designs, you know, who was on currencies, and things of that nature. And Doug was always so gracious with his time. He is the one person I would say, was just so, he allowed me to see numismatics as this new world. He invited me so graciously into that new world. And I frequently use this quote that I have on the screen, which I got from Doug's website, Money and Sovereignty. And so I'll read what it says, right? It says, "Money talks, as the saying goes, but what does it say? There is more to the story of money than simple profit. The designs, texts, and symbols on coins contain messages designed to be understood by the people using them. These messages represent the earliest form of mass-produced communication in history. The fact that the same message could be transmitted from the ruling authority to the people without mediation was a milestone in history." And that quote from Doug Mudd really stood out to me when I began to think about studying money and the history of money formally. That quote allowed me to understand that there was a connection between history, identity, mass communication, and money. And these are the kinds of quotes and research that I got from Doug Mudd and his various publications over the years. In particular, All the Money in the World, which is on the right side of my screen. And these are the kinds of research that made me think that I wanted to go further my studies into money. And that took me to the United Kingdom, where, as Doug mentioned, I pursued a Master's of Science in History of International Relations. And for my thesis, I wrote, I did research on money and nationalism in West Africa, focusing on Ghana. And then later on, I stayed at the London School of Economics, pursuing a Ph.D. in international history, where I furthered my studies in the relationship between money and history, money and nationalism, money and national identity across the world, with a particular interest in Africa. So I'm saying all this to say thank you to Doug publicly for allowing me into this world and for changing my life for the better. The last time I saw Doug was in, I think, March 2020 at the ANA's money conference in Atlanta, right before the pandemic. Now,
Right
yes.
now, you were showing you need to turn your PowerPoint on for presenter mode. Right now, we're seeing half a screen.
All right, let me try. Let me just go back. Presenter mode. Let's see.
So turn the presentation on. Slide
right.
presentation. There
All
you
right.
go.
All right. Are you seeing it now?
No, you're not sharing now. So share your screen.
All right. So let me go back and share my screen. All right. I'm going to share screen.
And it's going to show us your screen the way it was before, and then you're going to press in PowerPoint. You're going to go to slideshow, start presentation.
All right. How about now?
Yes, that's it.
All right. Okay. So all right. All right.
Just a second. It looks like that is your.
Yeah. Looks
Okay,
fine.
there. We're good.
It looks fine.
Yep.
All right. So did folks see the quote that I just quoted and the book as well?
Yes.
That I have on the screen?
Yeah, it looks right.
Yep, that's it.
Okay. All right. So that's the book that I was talking about, All the Money in the World by Doug Mudd. And that's the quote that I quoted. All right. So again, I just wanted to give you a background before I get into what the Citizens Coinage Advisory Committee is, and to sort of take you on a journey through how I got into numismatics and where I now have this privilege of serving the American public on the CCAC. And so I mentioned before that I was a student at the London School of Economics. And while I was in London, I was a research assistant in the Coins and Medals department at the British Museum. And that was a wonderful experience where I learned so much more about the world of numismatics, of coinage, from antiquity to present. While at the British Museum, we did all different kinds of research into money, one of which is the publication of a book called Money in Africa, which Doug mentioned, which looks at the history of money in Africa from pre-colonial times to the present. And since then, as Doug has pointed out, I am a member of the ANA, the International Banknote Society, and other organizations, the ANS, et cetera. And that's how I maintain my knowledge base with respect to the development of coinage globally. A couple of years ago, around 2026, I also, as Doug mentioned, started an exhibition right here in Atlanta, where I'm based, which is called the Black Money Exhibit. Because one of the things that I have an interest in, right? So my interest is generally in coins and banknotes from all around the world, but I have a particular interest in the representation of people of African descent on coins and banknotes. And so I started this exhibition, which has over 300 banknotes from over 80 countries and territories in the world, including Africa, Europe, the Caribbean, and North America. We started it in Atlanta, and the idea was to educate the public about the people, places, and events on money that highlight African American, and African diasporic history. And then, as Doug mentioned, in 2021, the former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, recommended my appointment to the Citizens Coinage Advisory Committee, which was, of course, confirmed by the Secretary of the Treasury. And it's the honor of my life, being a young kid, a 9-year-old kid born in the Caribbean island of Jamaica, who found his first set of coins and banknotes by accident, and beginning my American journey through New York to have the privilege of serving the American public with my colleagues on the CCAC in recommending coin designs and themes to the Secretary of the Treasury. So what I want to do today is essentially to go over the coin and metal design process, and then talk about what the CCAC is, and also look at the various stakeholders in the coin design process. And then I'll also give you some examples of how the CCAC actually works when we have our meetings at the United States Mint in Washington, D.C. and other places, and how we deliberate, how we look at coin designs, the process that we go through before we make our recommendations to the Secretary of the Treasury. And so I know that you're all numismatists, so these terms, of course, are familiar to you, but I just wanted to put them on the slide. That what the CCAC, the Citizens Coinage Advisory Committee, considers are circulating coins. Of course, these are the everyday coins that we use to purchase, goods and services. Commemorative coins, including classic coins, minted between, roughly 1892 to 1954, modern coins from the early 80s to present, and also congressional gold medals. And again, I will show you some examples of some of those coins and medals that the CCAC has given its recommendations on. There are several different stakeholders in the coin design process, right? And so here's a list. Of course, the executive branch, and of course other branches of the government. We have the Congress, we have the president, that's Treasury Secretary, United States Mint, the various advisory committees, which I'll talk about. We have the recipient organizations, or the honorees, and of course the gold medal honorees. So the process of designing coins involves several different stakeholders before you see it in your pockets, or before the honorees are presented with medals, for example. And so the advisory committees that I recommend include the United States Commission of Fine Arts, or CFA, as well as the Citizens Coinage Advisory Committee, the CCAC. And so I will go through and give you some more information about how these two main advisory committees work, how they started, and what they are actually tasked with. Let me just move this over here. I'm just moving the slide. Just give me 1 second. For some reason, Doug, my slide isn't moved. Oh, here we go. All right. Let me just go back a bit. Okay. All right. So this diagram essentially, I think it lays out very well graphically the process by which coins are designed, and the selection process. So if we begin here, we see that Congress passes legislation with respect to the coins that are going to be issued, or that are authorized to be issued. All right. And then that goes to the United States Mint, which creates the design requirements. So in other words, the United States Mint comes up with the parameters by which coins should be designed. And that gets communicated with the artists that create the preliminary or the initial designs for whichever coins they are tasked with. And then that goes to the goes back to the United States Mint and the various stakeholders for review. Now, these stakeholders are organizations and individuals and so forth that review the portfolios, and then that gets moved to the next round, which is where the committees make their recommendations. So, for example, the CCAC and the work that we do, and the CFA as well. Once these committees make these recommendations, then those portfolios get moved to the Secretary of the Treasury, who selects the final design. And then after that, the Mint, if you follow this arrow here, the United States Mint artists begin sculpting these coins, as you can see here. And after sculpting, then the United States Mint creates test dies to strike those coins. And then the coins are struck, and then the Mint produces the coin. So again, this is just a graphic illustration of the process from the legislation that authorizes the production of these coins to the final product. Let me go back now to telling you a little bit more about the two main organizations or committees that are responsible for recommending the designs and themes for coinage. And so the first one is the U.S. Commission of Fine Arts, which was established in 1910, so over 100 years ago. And so the CFA has been the chief organization making recommendations with respect to coinage. The executive order which created the CFA granted the CFA advisory review of the design of medals, insignia, and coins produced by the federal government. There are 7 members of the CFA, and I'd like to point out that the first African-American member, John Saunders Chase, was appointed in 1980. So both the CFA and the CCAC are diverse in a variety of different ways, which I'll point out when I get to the next slide. The committee on which I serve, the Citizens Coinage Advisory Committee, the CCAC, was established over 20 years ago in 2003 under Public Law 108-15. And these are the 3 main duties that we are charged with. So number 1, we advise the Secretary of the Treasury on any theme or design proposals relating to circulating coin, bullion coinage, congressional gold medals, and national and other medals. 2, we advise the Secretary of the Treasury with regards to the events, persons, or places to be commemorated by the issuance of commemorative coins in each of the 5 calendar years succeeding the year in which a commemorative coin design is made. And 3rd, we make recommendations to the Secretary with respect to the mintage level of any commemorative coin rendered. So that is our, the purview of our 3 main duties. The CCAC has 11 members, and we each serve an initial period of 4 years. And here are how it's sort of broken out. There is 1 member recommended by the Speaker of the House. And currently I am that member recommended by the former Speaker of the House. There is 1 recommended by the House Minority Leader. There is another member recommended by the Senate Majority Leader, 1 recommended by the Senate Minority Leader, 1 member who is specifically qualified in American history, 1 member specifically qualified in medallic arts or sculpture, 1 specifically qualified in numismatics, 1 specifically qualified as a numismatic curator, and 3 representing the general public. One thing I'd like to point out is that all of the members of the CCAC, we share, of course, a lot in common, but we all have a love for coin. We are all knowledgeable in various aspects of coinage, the history of coinage, and we all have individual interest, right? So, some members might be interested in particular kinds of coinage, proof coins or ancient coins, or a variety of different interests. And we all learn from each other, as we communicate with each other virtually and in person, when we discuss portfolios. And I'll share with you a couple of the recent portfolios that we've actually considered. And so we all come to the CCAC with our particular expertise, our particular interest in coinage, and that is what makes the CCAC work, because we are a team, and we all learn from each other. And if any of you have actually attended any of the public meetings, you will see how, as we discuss coins, sometimes we will listen to a colleague or a member of the public, and then we might have a different opinion about the coin that we were going to select. So it's a very democratic process, I should say. The first African-American member of the CCAC was none other than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and the first chair of the CCAC since 2022 is Dr. Lawrence S. Brown. And so again, the CCAC is quite a diverse community of numismatists. Now, the CCAC, again, sort of by way of summary, if you will, is that our primary function is the public review of coin and metal designs. We respond to queries and suggestions from the public. So if you go to our website, which is ccac.gov, we have an email where you can email us your suggestions and your queries and things of that nature. And as I've said before, during our public meetings, you can actually listen in, or you can actually, visit in person when we meet in Washington, D.C., et cetera. We also provide consultation, of course, to the U.S. Mint on special projects, and we produce a fiscal year annual report to Congress, which is pictured right here. So at the end of the fiscal year, we provide this annual report to Congress, which essentially reports on our activities throughout the fiscal year. Let me now provide some examples of how the Citizens Coinage Advisory Committee goes about our work. And I want to give you a couple of examples from the different kinds of coins that we review. So we're going to look at some examples of, coins and metals, I should say, commemorative coins, congressional gold medals, and circulating coins. And so I want to begin with the first process, which is the laws that authorize the creation of these coins. So I've put up two examples here, right? Number one is the Kabul Attack Congressional Gold Medal Act of 2021. And the second one is the Harriet Tubman Bicentennial Commemorative Coin Act of 2022. And of course, these acts are, they're public. You can actually Google them, and you can read what you can read about the laws and the specifics of what they say. And in general, what they do is they provide background or historical background about the event or the group or the person that is being commemorated, and the reasons why they are being commemorated, and other specific information that you might find interesting. So it all begins in the legal framework. So let's look at a couple of specific examples. So the one I just gave you, which is the Kabul Attack Congressional Gold Medal of 2021. So this, the United States Mint, as well as the CCAC, once we have these public meetings of the CCAC, we then release the information with respect to the portfolios with which we are presented. So in this case, this is from the United States Mint's website. It's the CCAC meeting images for the service members who perished in Afghanistan on August 26, 2021, Congressional Gold Medal. So we had our meeting on April 18th, only a few days ago. And we are presented with portfolios which include the obverses and the reverses of these coins. And our job is essentially to, we all look at the designs, we look at the information, we look at the wording, we look at the images, and each 11 member of the committee, we generally get about 5 minutes, more or less, to discuss each, whichever image we want and why we like an image, what stands out. We may have questions about images, and so we have a discussion about them. And of course, we also, many times have liaisons. So these are organizations or individuals that are, in many ways are responsible for, recommending or suggesting, the people, places, or events, that they see as, needing to be commemorated, excuse me. So this is, again, the role that the public plays in speaking with their elected representatives about the people, places, and the things of that nature that should be commemorated. And it's really a privilege to have the stakeholders and the liaisons, for example, in the room or when we do it virtually, because they come in and they remind us about the history of what happened or who the person is or the group. They give us additional information. They underscore and underline the reason why the group or the event or the person is worthy of commemoration on coins. And they also get to ask us questions. We get to ask them questions, and that educates us and informs the members of the committee with respect to our review of these designs and ultimately our recommendations to the Secretary of the Treasury. Here is another example that we reviewed on Tuesday of this week, April 18th. This is the images for the 688 Congressional Gold Medal. This was a group of African American women who went to Europe during the Second World War to help with the tremendous backlog in mail for service members during that time. And they did such a tremendous job, and that, of course, Congress authorized the issuance of a Congressional Gold Medal. And so, again, we are presented with the obverse and the reverse, or the obverses and the reverses of these of the medal, and we within our expertise, we look at the designs, and what's interesting about the work that we do is, you have some experts, for example, who know what types of airplanes would have been around in during the Second World War, or what the uniforms might look like. We also get that information from the liaisons. So there are times when we can say that that airplane that is depicted is not the right airplane for that time, or that there's something about the uniform that needs to be addressed. These kinds of comments. We talk about the texts and what they mean, how it might be perceived in the public eye, etc. And again, when you members of the public can call in and listen, this is a listen only for members of the public, whether they call in or in person. And you can see how we do it. Here is another example, which is the Harriet Tubman Bicentennial Commemorative Coin Act of 2022. And this week, again, April 18th, the Citizens Coinage Advisory Committee considered the 3 coins, gold, silver, and clad. And so, we have the obverse sides and the reverse sides, and we look at the images, we have discussions about them, and then we, as a group, have a mechanism through which we will make a recommendation about which obverse and which reverse we will recommend to the Secretary of the Treasury, following the process that I just explained. The final example I'll give is the American Women's Quarters, or AWQ program, which is authorized from 2022 to 2025. And this is the Circulating Coin Redesign Act, or CCRA. Basically, with the CCRA, we have new quarter obverses featuring a likeness of George Washington, designed in a manner to distinguish it from the current image. And I'll show you a slide about who designed that. And the Mint issues up to 5 quarters per year with unique reverse designs, emblematic of the accomplishments and contributions of one prominent woman of the United States. All right, so these designs highlight women with diversity in fields of accomplishments. All right, so you have poets, you have composers, pilots, a variety of women, civil rights leaders. A variety of women have already been commemorated and will be commemorated as well. And it should honor women from ethnically, racially, and geographically diverse backgrounds. So if you've been seeing the quarters that have already been minted, you will see that this diversity, which I will show you on the next slide. Well, actually, the slide after that. So, the AWQ program, the United States Mint consulted with several important organizations even before the design review process. They consulted with the Smithsonian, the National Women's History Museum, and bipartisan women's caucuses. And I think this is important because when we are commemorating important American people, places, events, groups, it is important that we are informed by experts who have been studying, advocating, teaching about these people, places, events. And hence, that's why the various stakeholders will lean on the expertise of particular individuals, organizations, and things of that nature. The Secretary of the Treasury selects the designs after consultation with the CFA and review by the CCAC. So here are some examples of some of the coins that have already been minted and issued under the American Women Quarters program. And by the way, the obverse of this program was designed by Laura Gardin Fraser. And so you can see on your screen that great Americans like Maya Angelou, Dr. Sally Rice, Wilma Mankiller, Nina Otero Warren, and Anna Mae Wong are some of the honorees for this circulating coin program. Now let me switch, and as I'm getting ready to wrap up, I would like to say a couple of words about my favorite coin. I have several coins that are important to me, but if I had to pick one, I would have to say the American Liberty 225th anniversary gold coin issued in 2017 would have to be my favorite coin. I believe I can hold it up here for you to see. And it's important to me for a number of reasons. This was actually a birthday gift that my wife, Dr. Christina Fuller, gave to me. And I didn't expect it, but you know, she understands and knows my work in coins, and she got me this coin, and it was just so striking and so beautiful in its everything about it, its design, its uniqueness, its diversity, and what it says. When I show this to our daughter, we have two daughters, one is 7, one is 14, and how it inspires them. And so that's why I love this coin, which of course was recommended by the CCAC to the Secretary of the Treasury. So this is my favorite coin. Again, very beautiful, and it shows the work of the CCAC in terms of representing all aspects of American history and culture. So in summary, the CCAC represents you, the American citizen, and we encourage you to share your design ideas with the committee by going to our website. And with respect to coin and metal designs, it involves the legislative and executive branches of the federal government, and also the Citizens Coinage Advisory Committee as well. The CCAC serves as an informed, experienced, and impartial resource to the Treasury Secretary. I would like to thank a couple of organizations, liaisons to coin and metal programs in the circulating coins, congressional gold medal, and commemorative coins. I would like to also thank the current and former members of the CCAC, as well as the 1,600 dedicated employees at the 5 United States Mint facilities. And for more information with respect to the United States Mint, you can visit their website at usmint.gov. And with respect to the CCAC, ccac.gov. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for this tremendous privilege of speaking at Coin Week, the American Numismatic Association's Coin Week. Again, I would like to thank Doug Mudd and all the wonderful folks at the ANA for this privilege. And I look forward to any questions or comments that you may have. Thank you very much.
About what happens at the CCAC. We do have some questions, and so I'll read them out for you to respond to. So just starting with that is how Ernesto Aguilar asks, how difficult is it to evaluate designs given all the preconditions that Congress mandates to have a coin?
Can you repeat the first part of the question, please?
How difficult is it to evaluate designs given all the preconditions that Congress mandates to have on a coin?
I mean, I think that money in general, because of the nature of money, right? The laws are in any country, I think, are going to be, pretty specific with respect to how coins are minted, who or what is commemorated on the coins, etc. But it's not difficult at all for us to deliberate on, right? Because again, we have a very knowledgeable, diverse committee that is drawn from various parts of the United States, and we all have our different expertise. And then we also have the benefit of the liaisons, which are able to inform us about the people, places, events, the groups that are being commemorated. And so it's a very democratic process. And I think that in the end, we make the best decisions about what we recommend with the information we have and the advice of our colleagues and the various other stakeholders.
Yeah, the next question is, Basically, does the recommendation have to be unanimous, a simple majority, or a supermajority for recommendations to go forward from the CCAC?
That's a very good question. Yeah, so if you've ever if you've ever participated or listened in on any of our public meetings, and again, I want to emphasize that our meetings are public, you'll see that we have a system where we, each design, we rate them on a scale of, let's say 0 to 3. And after each member gives his or her rating and we tally that, then we have discussions, and sometimes we have motions and things of that nature. But then whichever coin, whichever obverse or reverse gets the highest points based on how we tally them, that's what we recommend to the Secretary of the Treasury. And sometimes it is unanimous, and sometimes it is a simple majority.
Okay, and John Gray asks, how are the initial artists selected?
I will have to say, because I'm not a part of that selection process, I wouldn't be able to give you the specifics about how they are selected. What I will say is that is something that you can send us an email about through the CCAC's website. And I'm sure that someone can provide an answer for you.
Okay, and Susan Sims is thrilled to see a brother on the committee, which is great to make sure that it is diversified and diverse. And she asks, is Joe Mena on the committee? I think
Joe Mena is not a member of the Citizens Coinage Advisory Committee. However, he is the chief engraver of the United States Mint. I might have to double check his specific title, but he is the chief engraver of the United States Mint, but he is not a member of the committee. But if you would allow me to say this, he's often in the room when we have our deliberations, and so we lean on his expertise, we meaning the CCAC, when we have questions about, for example, we usually ask, is this coinable? Or if someone asks for a change, we go to him to see what he would say.
Yeah, it could be very important whether it's possible to do some of the designs that are suggested. Also, she asks, does the government pay for your travel and expenses?
Yes, the government pays for our travel and expenses. Yes, that is correct.
Clark Davis asks, do you have a favorite coin or bill in your Black Money exhibit?
That is a good question. I will say, if I may, and favorites, it's always difficult to say what is your favorite, your favorite. I'm a basketball fan, so what is my favorite, player? But I would like to highlight one particular banknote as one of my favorites. And this is the Canadian $10 bill issued in 2018, which features the first, let me get this right, the first non-royal Canadian woman and the first Black Canadian woman on a banknote. Her name is Viola Desmond, and she was a racial rights and a civil rights leader in Canada. So this is in the Black Money exhibit. I've collaborated with the Canadian consulate in Atlanta, as well as the Bank of Canada on this specific bill.
Yeah, a great bill there. So Maurice Boucher asks, what is the status of work or process for the semi-quincentennial in 2026?
That is ongoing. We have a variety of stakeholders that have been meeting to discuss that particular program, which is a wonderful program. So that is an ongoing process.
And the anonymous attendee, why are there no commemorative coins issued this year?
Why are there no commemorative coins issued this year? I would have to think further about that, and I would encourage that person to send, to send the question through the CCAC's website. But I will say that the portfolios that we are presented with, those are the ones that we review and make our recommendations to the Secretary of the Treasury. But that person should feel free to send that question, and I'll see if we can get an answer. Thank you.
And then Ernesto Aguilar again. Have there been any group of designs that were not recommended and the artist had to submit all new designs?
That's an interesting question. So again, we are presented with portfolios that have several designs for a particular person or event, etc., that is being commemorated, right? And of course, we recommend one obverse, mostly, and one reverse. So the others are not recommended, right? There are times when we've asked for changes. When, as a committee, based on the discussions on that day, we feel that changes are needed because of the message being sent or because of the design or any other factor. And then we would ask for the designers to essentially go back to the drawing board, if that's the question the person is asking. So there are times when we might ask for, recommend something contingent on some changes, or we might ask for them to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, and as I understand it, there are several points where that can happen, not just it could be the CFA or the CCAC level.
Yes,
things. So it's not a simple decision by the CCAC. It can involve different parts of the process.
Yes, and just to highlight again, what we do is we make recommendations to the Secretary of the Treasury. The Secretary of the Treasury has the final word with respect to what is accepted or approved. Yes.
Okay, it looks like we've come to the end of our questions. So thank you very much. This has been a great presentation and very informative. I hope everyone has enjoyed this, and I hope everyone can make it to tomorrow's presentation, which will be presented by Neil Busante on the history of the early U.S. metals. So it'll be a great addition to our series, and anybody that has a chance, I hope they get to see our open house in Colorado Springs at headquarters. So you have to be here on Saturday. But thank you very much, Dr. Fuller. It was a great presentation, and my ears are a little red from all the praise. Thank you very much.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it so much. And
I've
again,
enjoyed
I want to thank you, Doug, for just being there for me. And again, I mean this. You are largely responsible for where I am today because you were so gracious with your time and your expertise.
Well, thank you very much. You've done a great deal on your own, and I've always enjoyed our conversations, and it was a pleasure to work with you, and continues to be. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And with that, we will end the talk, and thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
All right. Thank you so much.